Okay guys, so today I'm going to show you some more about this bed, and it's going to be like a canopy bed. Go ahead and write down the measurements off of this because sometimes it takes me a little bit of time to get it onto my website. And you're going to cut 4, 2, 2, and 2. And then the height of the headboard is going to be based off of the decorative trim that you get. Because remember, you're going to cut this out based on that. And then you're going to glue it to it. So I just traced it on the paper as is, but yours may be different based on this piece. As long as you have this piece here done and here, it should be okay. It should all work out. Alright, so the first thing you want to do is you want to take your side pieces and your wooden dowels, and you're going to glue them to it. Let's see if I have any luck with this glue today. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and put some on there. You want to get it off of there as much as you can to where it's not like a big glob like that. And then I always blot it as well, just so that I have the same amount there. And what I want to do is I want to take this and make it even with the bottom on both of them. Okay? Now this is going to be a very large bed. Okay? So I also want to move this right here like this. To where it's just kind of right like that.
That's gonna have to be good enough.
Okay, so for the top part of the canopy, you are able to do just a straight square part around the canopy, or you can leave it just open. Or you could take some paint sticks that are about 1/4 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch piece of wood, and you can use your compass and kind of make a design like this. Now once I get this cut out, I'll trace it on the template for you, and you can download the template on my website. And you can make this pretty much out of the paint stick, basswood. I don't recommend poplar wood. Or balsa wood. So it's completely up to you. Balsa wood will be very flimsy though, so it could easily break, especially if you're going to have a child play with it. So you can also stack up on some mat board or chipboard and or paperboard and just make it thick. Alright? Okay, so now that you have them glued together, you want to take your frame supports and you want to glue them all the way around.
Run your finger against the board.
There you go. Okay. Now this little area here, it looks like it's a little too much, so it's going to pop out if I don't get it off of there. Alright, now you have 2 side pieces in the middle. And you want to go ahead and put them like this. Make sure this is even with the edge over here. And in fact, this board actually has a curve to it, so I'm going to flip it around so the flat edge is on the outside. That's just how this is made. Okay, then on this piece I'm going to put a little bit of glue here and a little bit there, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to flip it backwards. Just like that. Repeat the process on this side. And at the bottom. And again, put a little bit on here. Alright, you want to let that dry. Make sure it's thoroughly dry. before you go and do anything else. And if you need to clamp it because your glue's not holding, you can do that, that's fine. But what I like to do is I like to turn it up on its side and then press it down.
A little masking tape on it. Yeah.
And then flip it and do the same thing again, because see how that just moved? And then flip it down again, and then again, whoop, and then again. And if you do that, then you're going to need to start it over like I just did. Okay, so that's it. And then you want to let it dry and put some masking tape on it to hold it.
Get that corner straight.
Put something heavy on top of it to hold it down. Okay, so the frame is drying, but one thing I wanted to point out, this one you need to have even with the front when you're putting the post on, and this one you need to have even with the facing of the back. So it's even here and sticking out here. And then with this one, it's sticking out in the back. Now, if you want to have them even both ways, then that's fine. All you're going to have to do is adjust your side pieces with the trim accordingly. And if you're using a decorative trim like I did, make sure that when you're cutting it, you cut them both to be the same so it doesn't look awkward. Like here I have a half of thing and a full thing here. Ideally it would be nice to have it stop at the end, but it didn't work out that way, so I made them both the same, so I had to waste a little bit of it to get it like that. Alright, so we're going to let these dry, and then we can take everything apart. Again, this is what the bottom looks like. Mask and tape it around the sides and everything, and then put something heavy like a can of paint or something right on top of it and let it dry. These, if you're able to, put them on a flat surface like Dad was pointing out earlier. That way these are even flat. I wasn't understanding what he was trying to say to me earlier, but that's what he meant, for these to be flat. Because what happens is, even though it's not flat even with that, this can be wonky. And if it's wonky, then obviously your poster part will not be exact. So just have it like that. Okay, so for the bottom piece, what I did is I took some some wooden dowels, and I'm laying them flat here. That's going to be my elevation of the bed. Now what I'm going to do is take some glue, and I'm going to put it all along this back edge. Okay, and then all along the front edge. Just rub it in. And then set it down on top of your little platforms. Now these are just little wooden dowels that I'm using. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to make sure I put my headboard at the end up here and make sure I have it even right there. Just like that. My footboard, I'm going to do the same exact thing at the bottom, making sure that I have it even with both sides. I need to move it over just a hair, just like that. Okay, this needs a little bit more glue. Now, at this point, what you want to do is get some masking tape again and tape all the way around it to hold it securely. And don't hit the table so you knock it off. I hit right into that when I went to get the masking tape. So, again, let's do that. Let's line it up. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to make you guys watch that twice. Okay, I'm going to put masking tape all the way around it. And we're going to let it sit and dry. Alright, so once you've got your pattern traced and you've cut it out on your saw and everything, it's going to kind of look like this. Okay, so remove the top and bottom. Sand these very well, because what's going to happen is they are going to be part of your headboard. Now I have my board clamped together with a large clamp because my board was a little bit bowed in the middle, so I can't quite work on it just yet. However, I can kind of show you a little bit where it's going to go, and then we'll continue with this process. It's going to just go right down in between here and here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to cut some pieces to go in between and then across the bottom. So it's going to look kind of like that, and then of course there'll be the piece to go over there. Alright, so we're going to let that dry, and then we'll be adding our trim pieces as well, and then we'll move on and do the rest of it. Okay, so for the canopy top, when you have the brace like this, you want to pre-drill your holes, and we are using needles, regular stick pin needles. Move this out the way, and we are going to put them through. Be careful not to poke your, yes, they're stick pins, straight pins, wherever you're at. I'm not sure what they're called where you are, but they're sewing needles.
Sewing pins, it's not a sewing needle.
Well, sewing pins, whatever.
They're straight pins.
Alright, so poke it through. It can be a little bit hard even though you pre-drilled it. Give me them. No, the other ones. Okay, there we go. Now that one didn't have much grip. Okay, so once you have it there, you want to go ahead and put some glue. Not a lot, just enough. And then what I do is I just kind of twist it on there. And then I go back to this end. And push it in there. Make sure that it's even with the top here. And you don't need it in very far. I mean, I think maybe I'm doing 3/4 of the way. You want to continue that process all the way down. You can pre-start your other one on the other side. That way when you get to it, all you have to do is do the same thing by pushing it through here. Alright, and I'll be right back. Okay, so now once you have them in, you want to go ahead and cut them off with a pair of cutters. Okay, don't throw away the pieces because you can use those for dollhouse nails later for something else. Alright, take your pliers, or if you have a nail or something like that, and you can just kind of tap them down in there. Or you can just press them if you're able to press it. And again, you don't need them to go in very far because you're putting glue on it, and the glue will hold it. This is just to kind of help keep it there. And that should be nice and smooth, but if it's not, then you want to sand it, especially if you're going to have a child play with it. Okay, and you can always bend these in shape if they're not accurate once you get it on there, because you'll have that ability. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put some glue on each of these because I'm going to kind of try to do this not quite all at once, but sort of all at once.
You did the first one, did you? There you go.
Okay. Make sure you have it aligned.
Might lay it down on the table.
And just kind of push it in each one. Try to get it in the center. You just have to play with it for a little bit if they want to keep popping out like this one does.
Well, you gotta put some tape on there so it don't come loose on the other end.
Yeah, Dad's idea is probably a good idea. Put some tape on it. Just to kind of keep it pulled together. Because as you can see, I was having a hard time with that. Just wanted to keep popping off. Okay.
You got it?
Mm-hmm.
Put a piece in the middle if the middle's popping.
Okay, so now I'm going to put a piece of tape around the edges here, and I'm going to pull it all together, and then I'm going to push these other pens together so that it has a little bit more in there.
Leave it sit on something flat so it don't twist on it.
Okay, so I'm going to push these in just a little bit further, and then I'm going to straighten it up so that it's not twisting. And you don't need them to go in too much further. Just a little bit. Because remember, the glue is going to hold it.
It's in plenty far, or
It popped back out. Alright, just make sure when you're pushing them in, you're not pushing them out on the other side. And make sure you're not poking yourself, because trust me, it will hurt. Alright, so push it flat on the table, make sure you got it nice and square. Cut your edges, or cut your pens off. Okay, once you have it square, the wood glue should hold it, but if you are not really sure that's going to be enough, or you don't think you got enough in there, you can always use some Loctite super glue. It'll like get right down in there. And again, don't forget to bang these in. That way you don't end up getting poked. Should be very smooth to the touch. Okay, now, if it's not square, you can kind of bend it to where it is.
You can put tape from corner to corner to keep it square.
There you go.
Whatever way it's out.
You just put it in here and it'll square itself up too. Okay, so the bed's not completely dry yet, but you can tape it corner to corner, or you can just kind of tape it to the bed and it'll keep it square too. Okay, and you want to keep these to the inner sides of that.
I ain't gonna walk through
Okay, so we're leaving that taped. It's not glued to the actual frame yet, but we're gonna leave it that way so that it can dry on this part, and then we'll deal with that, okay? Next step is to go ahead and apply some glue right along this edge here. Now, this part is completely optional. You do not really need this. This is just merely for decoration. I am taking my wood trim and I've cut it to fit right in here. Now, if I've done it right, it should fit perfect. If I didn't, then, well, I guess I'm gonna have to cut another piece. But it looks like it fits. So I guess I did it right. Okay, now remember you have the bottom frame here and then you have this. And this frame does not need this. It's just literally for decoration. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing to the other side. And again, we're gonna, oh, I forgot to put glue on the ends.
You're better off putting it on here so it don't smear it when you
There
go
you
down.
go. Okay, Dad said put it on here first. I didn't, so we'll see how it works out when I get it in here. And came off right there a little bit. So, gonna make sure when I put my decorative trim on though that it's even with the top of my bed. I want to make sure that the bed is even, because remember we're making this as a queen size bed, so you want to make sure it's all the way down, just like that. And I want to take some masking tape and I want to put it on there to hold it.
And one thing you need a lot of is masking tape.
Yes, we use masking tape for almost everything because it is very good for holding this kind of stuff.
And it doesn't leave a mark when you pull it off.
Right. It's kind of like painter's tape when you're painting. The only thing is you cannot leave the masking tape on for like overnight or hours. It's just good for temporary purposes because it gets really sticky and it does end up sticking to the
It makes it harder to come off.
Okay, so there's that. And we're gonna make sure it's nice and even there. We're gonna give this a little bit more time to set up and then we'll glue that on there. But while that's setting up, this is what we've come up with so far. Okay, decorative side, decorative front. This just kind of is like an accent. You don't really have to have it. It's just something that I thought would look cool. Okay, so there's that part. We're going to leave that alone. Now let's talk about post and headboard, and feet. There's a couple things that you can do for feet. You could do little push pins, or you could use those for the top pieces here, or you can use some little wooden dowels, or wooden plugs rather, and use those for feet, or you could use some beads. They have some decorative little posts that you can get in the craft store. You could use those. Pretty much your options are endless when it comes to posts and feet. And I think this would look pretty cool as
put some on
a headboard here. You know, just kind of putting that right in the center. So that's probably what I will be using for this one. Just kind of like that. I don't know, I might even try to sand it a little bit. I'm not really sure. But that's kind of what I'm going to do. And then for the feet, you could do the same thing. Use those on the bottom as well. They even sell larger ones of these. Or you could put something like this on the bottom. And if you don't like that, then this is what this would look like. So it's completely up to you. Actually, I kind of like this one a little bit better. I think it looks more decorative. It goes with the kind of theme going on there. So we're going to let that dry and we'll be back. Okay, so now what you want to do is, this is all dry, you want to apply some glue to each end. And now you want to tape it. Now we didn't glue this before because we wanted to make sure that it was squared up enough to where it didn't mess it up. Okay, I'm pulling the board away, the footboard away just a little bit so that I can fit it in there. Okay, Okay, you might want to turn it up on its side a little bit to get it to go in there. It might be a little bit easier. In fact, it is a lot easier to do it that way, so turn it up on its side. Once you have it in there, you just want to make everything even. And of course, you know us, put a piece of masking tape on there to hold it until it dries. Make sure you have it even right here, and then even right here. This should be even right here, and it should be even with the inside edge here. If it's not even there, then it's going to end up being crooked. Okay, so flip it up again and then do the same thing with this side, and you may have to put something on it to weigh it down until it dries. In fact, I don't like how the glue absorbed in that end grain, so I'm going to add a little bit more glue on mine. If it's an end grain on yours, you're probably going to have to do the same thing because end grains just really absorb the glue. So you want to make sure that you are putting enough glue on there. Or you could just pre-prime it, and by pre-priming it, I mean adding a little bit of glue, wiping it off, and letting it sit up or set up. Okay, I'm actually going to take some popsicle or some paint sticks, and I'm going to put them here. And I'm going to leave it like that. That way it'll compress it all together and it'll have a nice snug fit. Just double check before you walk away though that you got all your edges where you need them to be, because once it dries, it's going to be really difficult to get apart. Okay? So that's it for that part. Okay guys, so now we're going to go ahead and do the feet, and I'm just using push pins. These ones are made to look like wood. They're really not though. Make sure you have it flat on the edge when you do it so that you're not breaking the frame at the top, because if not, it will pop off. Okay, so that's what it'll look like. Okay, so one more thing you can do is, you see how we have the thumb tacks up here, or push pins? You can pull those out, and Dad came up with this idea. You put the push pin in the drill, and then you put it on the electric sander or a piece of sandpaper and you turn it. And then you can make your spindles or corner pieces look more like this. And by the time you put your fabric on there and everything, it'll look a little bit different. So that's it for this tutorial. Check back soon because we'll be making the top part and then the bedding and everything, and we'll be painting all this to look really nice. And if you want to see more tutorials and you want more free templates, then you have to like and subscribe and check out my website under dollhousetutorials.com or Dollhouse Miniature Madness and tutorials.com. Either place will take you to the same one. So you can get it, and I would appreciate it, and my dad would appreciate it if you leave a comment, question, or suggestion below, and to share our page with everybody else so other people can have fun too and enjoy this great hobby.
You're not put cloth on there, don't glue.
Yes, don't glue them if you're putting cloth.